Hello, I'm Chef Kristi Reich. Welcome to our series, Fresh and Raw. Today we're gonna make raw sushi. It's gonna be absolutely delicious. We're gonna do a cauliflower avocado rice, and we're gonna do a carrot and sunflower seed pate to go inside. All we're gonna do is roll it up and eat the thing. Sushi paper has a lot of nutrients in there. It is a sea vegetable, so you're gonna get a lot of minerals you wouldn't normally get from above the ground veggies. And let's get started off right away. All we're gonna need for this recipe is a food processor. It's gonna pretty much take less than 10 minutes, so there's no excuse that raw food takes too long. So let's start off by making our pate. You can make as little or as much as you want just by adding more seeds and more carrots to your food processor. We wanna have the food processor dry because if there is any moisture inside it, it could kind of make it wet and make it turn more into a paste than a pate. So we'll just chop some carrots I picked fresh out of my garden this morning right into there. I'm gonna add a dash of some Asian 5-spice blend as our spice, a little mini stitch of ginger in there. I am gonna cut the ginger up just into 4 pieces just to make sure that it's not one big chunk. And last but not least, a tiny little drizzle of maple syrup. Yum! I'm forgetting our salt, so let's add a little salt to that. We should be good to go. So we'll pop on the lid, give that a little process, and we should have our main filling for our sushi cone ready. All right, so here's what it came out looking like. Let's give it a little taste and see where we're at here. We want it to be a little bit sweeter and a little bit saltier than you would just eat it on its own, because once you get the sushi paper, which can be a little bit bitter and algae tasting, all your vegetables in there, roll it all up with your rice, you really want the salt flavor to come through. Oh yeah, that's pretty tasty. You can really get the ginger, the hint of sugar, and it has the perfect amount of salt. So if it wasn't tasting very good to you, keep adding some things, a little bit of apple, little fennel. You don't have to use carrots. You could use another vegetable like butternut or something you like a little more. But the ginger, the salt, and the sugar is the most important component for this pate. So we'll pour that into a bowl. And whenever I'm making dinner, the worst part is making a billion dishes. So with a lot of my recipes, you make 2 different elements. You don't have to wash any dishes in between. So we're gonna use this exact same blender again without washing it. Ooh. And we're gonna put our chopped up cauliflower for our rice right into there. Now when you're using your blender and food processor, it's pretty much gonna do all the work for you. So don't worry too much about your chopping skills and saying things like, oh, I never make veggies because I just can't chop them nicely. We'll just put them in here and it'll do it for you in 2 seconds. So again, we want a nice dry food processor. We want it to be a crumble and a rice consistency, not a mush. If you have a lot of oils or vinegars or wet in there, it's gonna turn more into a cauliflower puree, which is not what we want. All right, so you notice in about 5 seconds, this looks almost identical to rice. So what we're gonna do to add a little more moisture and flavor is just add a half of an avocado right in there. So I'll open this guy up, grab a spoon, a little bit you might not want to use there, but take everything else. Just because one little piece of a vegetable's gone bad doesn't mean the rest of it is. So we'll pop that in there. Oops. Get the other half, pop it right in. And we're gonna need a little salt and pepper in this recipe as well, so I'll just sprinkle some in. Kind of think of it just like you're making regular rice, guys. You know how much salt and pepper you like on your items, so use the exact same amount. Taste things as you go. Always start off with adding a little tiny bit. You can always add more later. So I'll pop that in there, and we literally just kind of want to pulsate it to get that avocado mushed around, so it's really gonna stick to our sushi paper. All right, that's literally all. We don't want to mush it up too much because again, it's going to turn into a paste. It's not going to be a rice, which is what our goal is today. So I'll set everything to the side except for what I'm going to use here, which is our cauliflower rice, beautiful, and our seed and carrot pate. Smushing some of your rice directly onto the nori sheet. We don't want too much because if you get it too thick, it's not gonna roll beautifully. We'll sprinkle some of our delicious ginger, sunflower seed, and carrot pate right on there. And then the last thing is, you guys, just adding your raw vegetables. So I've got a little green onion diced up here. I've got a little bit of raw red pepper. Some delicious sauerkraut is gonna add kind of a pickled ginger flavor in there. We've got some zucchini spirals, a touch of cabbage, and some chopped up more beautiful carrot from my garden. I just can't get enough of them. They're so sweet and delicious. So there we've got the base for our rolling. So all we're gonna do now is we're gonna grab the edge, and I like to have a little thing of water nearby, because if we take a little bit of water, we can pretend it's like our glue stick. And we'll just make a little bit of glue right on the very end here. Oops, shoot, I already ripped one. Well, that you see is how careful you have to be with the sushi paper. So we'll try rolling it anyways. This is the traditional way. The other way we can do it is a cone method, which I'll show you next. We're just gonna roll that whole thing up. So I did rip it on the edge. I do have my little bit of glue over here. Oh yeah, turned out perfect. Because we're not using traditional sticky cooked rice, it isn't gonna stick together as best as it can, you guys. So you do have to use your methods here. And we wanna cut the pieces a little thicker than we normally would. So cut it right through. You don't wanna saw using a serrated knife. You want your knife to be nice and sharp. And if you have a rip, just don't cut that piece. Leave it as a big one. So we'll just stack some of this on the plate here. If you have OCD, yours is gonna look a lot more beautiful than that one does. And then let's take a bite of this and make sure it's delicious. So now we'll just make a cone. So much easier. Might be the option you guys wanna go for, especially if you're doing it as a lunch. You can put all of your little components in a Tupperware container. Then when you get to work, you have your little sushi paper and you just mix it all together in a deconstructed style. So I'll put a little pate through the middle here instead of on the very edge this time. Sprinkle some of my delicious ginger seeds. Then again, my beautiful vegetables in there. Pretty much want all of them. And then if you want it to look super artsy, all you need to do is like stick some veggies right out of the very top. So when you roll it all up together, those will kind of be poking out. So I'm gonna use my glue, which is just the water again. Kind of put some glue on the edge of here. And then we're just gonna roll our nori cone like so. Roll it all up. And sometimes I just kind of cut this bottom piece off and eat it later. Makes it easier to hold. And like you have it, it's gonna be a sushi wrap of sorts. It's a little easier to hold. You can dip it right in the sauce, but make sure you have a big, huge plate for the drippings. Anyways, that's all we have for today. Thank you so much, Nature's Fair, for providing the beautiful food, and we'll see you all again.